What's going on, Internet? I hope you guys can hear me okay today. My audio is a little bit different. Actually, probably had to put the audio to that microphone over there, so give you a second, you guys. Um, I normally have my Bluetooth earbuds in.
Oh, Sam, come on.
Am I back? Okay.
We're back.
So, don't fuck with settings on stream. Okay. Not doing that again. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just fucking dying over here. How stupid that was. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of appropriate ages, I'm excited today to welcome the most northern distillery on the Scotch Whisky mainland, the mainland of Scotland. Please welcome my friend, the most polite Scot I think I've ever met, Mr. Mark Westmorland, Global Brand Ambassador for Wolfburn Scotch Whisky. Mark, how are you?
Slange, Sam, how the devil are you? You're fair getting the internet flies and trolls to try and trip you up tonight. So hopefully it'll go smoothly over the next hour.
Well, we already have one hello from our dear friends over at the Whiskey Crusaders. Hey, Matt. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Will. How y'all doing today?
But this is a big hello from Bonnie, Scotland. So this is a wee Slange of Sam. Good to see you again. It's been over, wow, nearly 2 years since I saw you last when you were at the bar. It was March 2019. So always a glass to you. Thanks very much for the invite.
Well, I think I poured myself a little bit of, what did I pour? I poured me some Northland right here. Yeah, so just always a real glass to you as well.
To all your watchers and all your listeners as well. So this is an absolute pleasure. I know it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon there in LA, 10 o'clock
2 o'clock here in LA. It's 10 o'clock for you, right?
Yeah. Really my bedtime. So this is my bedtime nip. This is a to sort of give me a sleep of 1,000 nips as well. So really good.
Well, you know what? Happy to help you go to sleep. Rest a little easier. So, Mark, why don't we talk a little about Wolfburn before we get into the whiskey itself? I'm just going to take a wee sip here. But why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about Wolfburn? I know I did, let out a little interesting tidbit, a little fact that it is the most northerly distillery on the Scottish mainland.
Yeah, it is. In a place called Thurso, which is the most northerly town on the mainland in Scotland as well, in the UK. That's got a special place in my heart as well, Sam. As you know, I'm born and bred in Thurso. So forget Outlander, I'm a true Highlander. This is none of the sort of ideal situations you see on the telly. I'm a Highlander, born and bred in the Highlands. And that's the connection I have with the distillery. It's a very fiercely independent distillery. I always get that in. It was an old distillery in 1921, and then it was rebuilt by our owners in 2012. The original distillery only lasted for about 50 years on and off. And there wasn't anything left of the old distillery apart from some foundation stones. So when our owners went and they looked at the site, the good news for them, the water source, the Wolfburn, was still running. So the original water source that the old distillery used, that was still there. So it was a sort of eternal spring that sprang in the moors and it ran down the back. And that's where the water was taken from. So luckily for us, there was a new industrial estate. Our owners bought 2 plots of land on the back of the Wolfburn. And that's the beautiful water that we're using for the reawakening of the Wolfburn distillery in 2012. We started production in 2013. Our first casks were filled on the 25th of January. And if you're Scottish or if you have any Scottish heritage or ancestors, the 25th of January is special day in
A very
Scotland,
special day.
Burns Night, and that's a piece of marketing genius that we filled our
Great
first.
tasting of the pudding race.
That's it, and you can say it in a Welsh accent if you want, but I know you were trying your best.
I was trying. It wasn't really good, but I was trying at least.
Very. I'll not try and give you my American accent. So
now we've got to hear this. I've got to hear that. Come on now.
No, I probably don't have one. I probably never had to do one. So
this will be your first time.
Nah, can I do that? I'll stick to the broad Scotch, which is great. The Scottish, this is what people want to hear. They don't want to hear me waxing lyrical and West East Coast or whatever. They're quite happy to listen to me talk about Wolfburn. That's why I'm here. But yeah, relatively young distillery, I say that, but we've been going for, it'll be 8 years next month. And in sort of distillery terms, yeah, it's still, we're probably the toddlers. Some of the toddlers are the distilleries in Scotland. We're not the newborns now. And we're going from strength to strength. 36 countries across the world. Last count, I suppose. Our global reach. You know, we're looking for world domination.
Yeah. But Mark, here's my biggest problem with Wolfburn is that we don't get all the fun releases out here. You guys keep those for Scotland and Europe and the rest of the UK. We don't get all the really fun releases because they're not fucking American size. They're 700 mLs, they're 500 mLs, not 750. Yeah. We don't get all the fun releases out here. Don't get me wrong, we have some delicious Wolfburn, as evidenced by these two delectable whiskeys in front of me. But you guys keep all the really fun stuff back there. So I'm going to come out there, I'm going to drink some, and I'm going to bring some back for all my friends out here.
You know, it's a great way to do it, Sam. You know, and I suppose when the traction of the brand, the brand awareness gets bigger and bigger in the States, especially the West Coast where you are. You know, I was out there, I did Las Vegas, I did Phoenix, down to Orange County, up through Santa Monica, and then back into Los Angeles. As soon as the brand gets a wee bit more traction and there's a lot more people clamoring for these special releases that we do, you know, it's like, it's up to you and it's up to the people that are fans of Wolfburn out there, our wolf pack, our community, you know, is to bang the drum and say, come on, you know, go into Pacific Edge, our distributors, and say, get yourself a few pallets, get some specials out here.
Mark, we have a question from the audience, actually. Jane says it's an interesting looking wolf on the label, and I'm sure, you know, can you talk a little bit about the wolf on the label? Yeah,
this is a mythical sea wolf. You know, it's nothing like anything like Game of Thrones or Harry Potter or anything like that. This is the mythical sea wolf. It's a picture illustration from a book called The History of Four-Footed Beasts and Serpents. And this was a 16th century book that was illustrated by Conrad Gessner, who was a Swiss illustrated physician, zoologist, I believe, as well, and he appeared on some of the Swiss banknotes back in the day. But this, we wanted something that would relate to the sea where we are, because we're a coastal town. So the sea is a great part of our life. You know, I was born and bred there, grown up there by the sea, and that was your go-to when you wanted to sort of play down by the water. And we wanted something that would relate to the Wolfburn, where we draw our water from. So the sea and the wolf was a beautiful mix of those two iconic pieces of information. We wanted to get it out there. And the great thing about the beast, this mythical beast, is that it's eye-catching. You know, people are drawn to it because it's interesting.
Oh boy, is it! I can't stop looking at it.
Humans, we're nosy. We want to learn about new things. And of course, Wolfburn, we're not a Glen or a Ben or anything overly tartanized or Scottified about our brand. Our spirit, and we wanted something really big and really striking that would catch people's.
Can we start calling it the tartan tax?
Tartan tax. Well, you know, we're getting taxed 25% at the moment for you guys because of the big hullabaloo.
Let's not go there. That's going to break my heart.
Hopefully that'll come down. We've sent a good few number of pallets out to the States over the past few months as well. So things seem to be picking up. going in the right direction, which is really, really great. But yeah, this is the mythical Sea Wolf. It's an iconic logo, our iconic motif as well, and it's an absolute privilege to wear it on my chest. It really is.
Are you going to go all Martin Mark Vardshead on us? He's got a giant Highland Park tattoo. Are you going to get the sea wolf on your chest?
No. The sea wolf, there's a statue outside of the distillery, and it was my friend Karen Standen that actually sculpted this sea wolf.
Let's pull a photo of that.
In stainless steel. And this thing is the size of a lion. Now, he is also a tattoo artist, and he said to me, you know, what would be great? You could get that tattoo on your arm, your pouring arm, and every time that you're pouring a dram, people would see it. You never know. I might get there one of these days. I know of 3 people already that have had the sea wolf tattooed on themselves.
Really?
Yeah, father and son combination because of the love of the brand. And when we were distributing in Lithuania, the wife of our Lithuanian distributor at the time, she fell in love with the brand, and she fell in love with the motif, and she's got it on her arm as well now, which is absolutely stunning. And it is an eye-catching piece. It is a talking piece. And if it brings people to the brand, like when I'm traveling, you'll see me wearing a Wolfburn t-shirt or a polo shirt everywhere I go, because I'm super proud to be representing the brand. And I want people to look at it and possibly ask me questions if I'm walking or sitting anywhere, and they'll ask me, "Oh, what kind of distillery is it? Where is it?"
There we go.
There it is. That's the mythical beast. It's on Caithness stone, that lovely big slab. And Karen Standen, a friend of mine, as I say, he built that, he sculpted that. And if you look at its paws, the paws are actually made out of spoons as well. And in the eyes are copper inserts. And over time, that'll go sort of verdigris as well. So it'll go really sort of piercing green and quite menacing looking as well.
Now they can see it the entire time we're talking.
If you see a sea wolf, it was meant to bring you good luck as well. So here's hoping that you've seen plenty of sea wolves. You see them on the bottles, you see them on the pop-up behind me. This is my Wolfburn studio from Scotland. I've been doing this for the last 7 months after I came back from a month in the Far East, just before the lockdown in the UK. And I've been, zooming. I've been doing tastings across the world. This week I've got yourself. I've got Russia. I've got a piece to camera for a place up in San Francisco, Shovels Bar.
Very cool.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I'll be certainly doing that. And it's when you're presented with a sort of global pandemic, everybody has to adjust their way of working as well. So that's exactly what we've done. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. This is exactly what we've done ourselves.
Very true.
And business is very strong for us doing that.
So let's get into the whiskey, because while you and I can sit here and have a catch up and a chit chat for a good 2-3 hours, I don't think the audience wants to hear that you and I just chatting and waxing poetic about life. They want us to talk about the Scotch.
Yeah. Well, this is the first one that you've poured was our first commercial expression. This is the Northland, yeah. This came out in 2016, so it was just over 3 years. And what we were doing at Wolfburn, what we wanted to do, our ethos was make a young, but make it beautifully rounded, light and vibrant, and fruity and floral as well. And we managed to do that with our long fermentation times, our gentle distillation, and by our choice of cask, our wood management as well. So this is a non-peated spirit, but we've matured it in second fill ex Islay quarter cask. So the quarter casks that we source from our cooperage. They're actually coming from a well-known Islay distillery. They're actually ex-Lefroy quarter casks. Lefroy quarter casks have got a great name across the world, and our first distiller, Ian Fraser,
Oh,
and he wanted something that would relate really, really well to the style and the DNA and the essence of our spirit. So the quarter casks were a great choice for me. You're getting that, lovely sort of fruity, sort of that walking along the beach at Thursday, that lovely sort of sea air, that salinity, that sort of brininess already. Because
definitely.
we store
I
everything
also
on.
get a real, note of like fruitcake.
Yeah, I get a lovely sort of orange zest, a lovely sort of citrusy bloom to it as well. And we store everything on site, so it's a traditional dunnage warehouse. So over the years, we're hopefully going to get that outside environment to help, identify our spirit for the north of the Highlands where we are. That lovely sea air that's going to come in. We're surrounded by gorse and heather and farmland as well. So we would expect, as the angel share leaves, the outside environment to come in because of the porous nature of the wood, And the Northland, for me, I'll always go back to it because it was the first ever Wolfburn I tasted. I can remember drinking it down at the stills in 2016 when it came out as well, with friends. And it's like, I suppose it's like kind of like your firstborn or your first pet or your first car. Yeah, you have an emotional attachment to something that's always the first, and
Yeah.
it's inherent. It's like an anchor. It actually holds you. It really does. And the Northland for me, even just over 3 years old in the quarter casks, ex-island maturation. So there's a wee hint of smoke to it, a little trace of peat. And that's just through the maturation. That's got nothing to do with the original spirit. That's just through these technical ex-Isla casks.
Didn't you bring me, when you were in town, a little bit of Wolfburn New Make?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah, that was the unpeated new make that I brought. So this is what the unpeated, this is
That
the
was
cleric
fantastic.
as well. And again, we sat at the bar, we poured it on our hands, we rubbed it in, the alcohol evaporated, we put our nose in, and that was, shut your eyes. That's you in the heart of the stills where you are. The fermentation.
I have a theory, Mark. I have a theory that if your mash is good, your recipe's obviously got to be good. But if your mash is good, then you're probably going to get a really good new make. And if your new make is good, barring some crazy freak of nature, you're going to have a pretty damn good spirit.
Yeah.
Unless you mishandle your casks.
Yeah, and wood management's got a lot to do with it. The selection of wood that you want to use, but you want to use wood and you want to use casks that don't overwhelm your spirit. You want that trail, you want that essence, that DNA to run through all your expressions. And what I say with the wood management program that we have, the selection that we've done, we've got some pork pipes, we've got some rum casks, we've got Madeira casks that we've just released, all shapes and sizes of sherries, whether butts or hoggies, cracking bourbon casks, standard size, and we've got some half size as well, 100 litres. But we want that cask management program, that wood management, just to elevate our spirit. Like, it's like when you score a touchdown, your team run around you and they hold you aloft and they parade you around because you're the winner. That's what the wood management program should be. It should complement your spirit, but not overwhelm it and put it up in a pedestal. So we're certainly doing that. And we're going from strength to strength. This for me has got a lovely fruity, spicy taste to it as well. That just hint of like a burnt match, sort of smoke to it. It just gives it a lovely kick, but it's not overly aggressive for being a young spirit as well, because
it's shocking.
Sometimes when you nose a spirit or taste a young spirit, you just get alcohol, you just get that ethanol bloom, or you just get that taste. But for us, it's a rounded, complex whiskey, single malt that we've produced straight off the bat. We don't produce anything apart from single malt. We don't put our spirit to blends. we don't put our spirit for any independent bottlers either. You know, you want a bottle of Wolfburn, you come to us. You're not going to get it any other way. You might invest in the business. You know, you can maybe buy a cask and you can have that in our warehouse. But when it comes to bottling, it's going to come out in a Wolfburn bottle with a Wolfburn label and your own sort of sub-label on it as well. But it's going to be a Wolfburn branded product. That's how supremely confident we are. And I suppose there's an element of control there. You know, this is our baby. You know, we want to see it grow, we want to nurture it, we want to protect it, but we also want to see it flourish in the world. So we have to have some control over it. That's why we store it on site. That's why we hand bottle everything. So the bottles that you've got in front of you there, the Northland and the Morven, you know, some of my fingerprints might be over those bottles because I've been in the bottling hall for hours in some days. And again, it's about doing everything by hand, that handcrafted product that we have, without any automation, and actually paying homage to the way that it was done in the past. You know, the previous.
Question mark.
Yeah.
The Whiskey Crusaders want to know what expressions come to the U.S. They're only able to find Morven, Northland, and Aurora in Texas. They're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
You should be able to get Langskip. Our cask strength, our distillery strength, our 58% bourbon casks only, 4 to 5 years. That was our fourth expression, our fourth core expression. We've had some of our small batch released in the States. Last year it was the 375, which was a mix of bourbon casks and sherry oak. And I'm sure that some 155, our port finish this year, came stateside as well. But I would have to check up on that. I really would. But I suppose, we let the distributor. We give the distributor an opportunity to import things. Whether they do, it'll depend on sort of customer wants and needs as well. But what we found so far, that if we're getting as I said, a good bit of traction and people are coming to our core expressions, they're always wanting something more now as well. And it's about how we keep the consumer engaged, because ultimately, you know, we want to grow our community, we want to grow this wolf pack, and we want people to come along on the journey that we're going on, because we don't know how big we're going to get, we don't know how fast we're going to get there. But all we're saying to people is come along for the ride, you know, grab on the coattails and let's go.
Yeah. Who is the distributor in Texas, Mark?
It will be Pac Edge, Pacific Edge. They do our sort of whole of our sort of West Coast. They do, in fact.
Texas is south. Texas is central.
Yeah, I suppose. I think Pac Edge is our USA distributor, so they'll hopefully have an in with various states across the US. And I know we've got a big presence West Coast, but yeah, moving maybe into the south or further north, like up into sort of San Fran and Washington State, they certainly take an eye on that. But
they want more. They're saying they love Wolfburn, so I guess I'll need to connect you guys via email for you to come on a Whiskey Crusaders Monday Night Live sometime soon.
Yeah, by all means. I just have to check my diary. I'm here, there, and everywhere at the moment. But it's great. This is the great opportunity that what's happened in the world has given people like ourselves and companies like ourselves as well, because we're getting a medium direct to the consumer, or direct to the customer, or direct to a fan in their own house or in their own place of work. And people absolutely love it because it's so personal. It really is. And it's a great way for us to help support retailers and distributors. And it's a great way for us to support yourself, Sam, with a Whiskey Somm as well, because you've been a great conduit and a great supporter of Wolfburn as well. So this is
Look what I have right here, Mark.
This is a great
the book.
The Beginner's Guide, yeah. That was a great piece of work that you did, and all congrats to you getting that out. That was a labour of love, And
Oh boy, was it? There were days. Let me tell you, there were days.
All credit to you. I'm a latecomer to the whiskey industry, although I've been drinking whiskey for a lot
So
of years. I care to
you're a
remember.
latecomer to the whiskey industry. That's right. You didn't work in whiskey until just a few years ago. What were you doing before that?
I was a police officer for 30 years in Scotland. So yeah, I've not turned poacher, turned innkeeper. I've gone the other way. I used to lock people up for drinking too much. Now I'm actively encouraging them to drink. Please drink responsibly, though. But this is the whole gambit for me as well. I got involved in the distillery because it's my hometown. One of the guys that is the tour manager down there, Charlie, he's an ex-cop as well, and he knew me from our social circles. So he got me involved in 2016, and the rest is history. It really is. Absolutely love working for the company. The whole family feel to it. There's only 5 guys on the stills. I would say there's 15 of us in the whole company, including the owners and the director. That's it. It's a very, very small, efficient working team. And it's going from strength to strength. The world is our oyster. It really is. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. So
I am loving the Morven that I poured? I can't remember what I got in front of me.
The first one, the Northland was the first one you poured, and as I said, that was our first commercial expression. That was our first core expression. I don't like to use the word standard expression because nothing that we do at Wolfburn standard.
I like core expression, core range.
Yeah,
the ones that are always available, that are your backbone, your primary releases, your key releases, the ones that really make up and show off what Wolfburn is in whiskey terms.
You're right, and the Northland put us on the map. It put us on the want to watch list on the distilleries, the bloggers, the journalists, because the well-renowned journalists and whiskey bloggers, they were tasting our spirit and they were blown away. Like Dave Broom, he says, even when I meet him, he says, blown away by what you're doing at Wolfburn. You're going from strength to strength. For a young distillery, it's exciting for the industry as a whole when there's a new distillery and there's innovation and there's passion, because that's what the whiskey industry is all about. It's about going for your dream. We've got a saying at Wolfburn: fortune favours the brave. We're only here once, so let's grab life by the kahunas and let's give it a good shot. Let's not just sit back and let the world wash over you. Let's make an imprint. Let's do something that we want to do, and let's make a mark, and let's chip away at the big whiskey factories, shall we say, the big conglomerates, and let's get a piece of that for ourselves, and let's spread the love to our community, our wolf pack. It's the best way to do it.
I love working with and talking with and tasting whiskey from smaller independent distilleries. And there's nothing wrong with, of course, drinking from the bigger boys, the big folks.
Yeah.
Let's be gender inclusive here, because it's 2020, and it's now trying to be more inclusive than ever. But anyway, so I love drinking whiskey from the big gang, the big 5, big 10, whatever, the bigger distilleries. They make some delicious product too. There's nothing saying, oh, we have to drink Wolfburn and we will not, or we'll drink Wolfburn and we cannot drink, big distillery Y.
You're right.
There's nothing saying that. Hey, if you like big distillery X, try this smaller distillery.
Yeah.
Support independent, support local, support, 5 people on the stills. That's not a lot. How many people work in the distillery just total, including yourself?
Well, I'm sort of remote, but the five that work on the stills, we've just increased that. It was 4, and in 2013 to 2015 there was only 2. working at the stills. We've got a tour manager, Charlie. We've got our admin manager, Jen, and our admin assistant, Gemma. So technically, there's 8 people working at the distillery. So we do tours. We've got a shop there. We don't have a big fancy visitor centre because we wanted to build the brand about the juice. We wanted to build the brand around the spirit. We didn't want to have the reliance on the visitor numbers because, again, where we are in Scotland, we're in the very north coast, and it's not a half an hour drive from Glasgow or Edinburgh. You know, it's a 5 or 6 hour drive from the central belt of Scotland. But I always say, you make the pilgrimage north, you shall be rewarded. When you make the effort to go to a distillery at the far end of the country, when you get there, there's a sense of achievement. You've driven that way, and you expect to be rewarded. And I can tell you, you'll know this, Sam, when you visit. I know you had plans to come and visit this year, but when you come to Wolfburn, we bring out the red carpet for everybody. You know, it's a small piece of carpet. It's about this big, but we'll bring it out. But it means we're laid
So for
back.
all you folks wondering how far Wolfburn actually is, this is from the Inverness Airport to Thurso. And that's from Inverness. You got Aberlour down here, Dufton. You got Elgin here.
But even when you're driving up the north coast, you're basically going up through sort of Dalmore area, Glenord, Glenmorangie. You're passing Clynish and Brora. Old Pulteney's up there as well.
There it is from Edinburgh.
There's so many cracking places that you're actually passing, and because the North Coast 500, you know, this is Scotland's Route 66. This is 500 miles from Inverness, going up the east coast, going along the north coast, coming down the west coast. So that's 500.
Scotty Brookladdy. Sorry, Mark, I'm going to jump in here for a quick second.
Not at all.
Scotty Brookladdy is talking about, you know, some great places to pick up some Wolfburn. They're saying Total Wine and Moors here in California.
Yeah.
But on the topic of supporting small and shopping local, supporting local, go pick up your bottles from Wine and Liquor Depot in Lake Balboa, Van Nuys area. Chris Kuseter, he's fantastic. He knows his shit. He's, you know.
Chris is a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of Wolfburn. The last time I was out there, I popped in to see him as well. And even like Chris even had some of the Wolfburn t-shirts on sale. I don't know if there's still any left out there, but he was certainly banging the drum, and he's got a great selection, not just Wolfburn. And as you say, he's an ex-Scottish rugby internationalist as well. He represented Scotland at rugby. He's got a well-kent name in Scotland. He's a legend, and now he's promoting and work like he's owning a whiskey store, and he's promoting Wolfburn. You know, that's a dream for a Scottish whiskey distillery as well. It's an absolute pleasure to know him, and it's a cracking shop with some cracking deals as well.
Great shop. And the prices are reasonable. Prices there are actually really, really good. You know, there's a lot of places that put on, you know, like they see an allocated bottle and they charge 8, 9, 10, 12 or more times the actual retail price when they're getting it on inventory for, you know, a fraction of what they're charging to the end consumer.
No, accessibility. You've hit something on the head there, Sam, as well. Accessibility is the key. You know, we want to produce a spirit that people can actually get, they can actually afford, because it's a customer choice. You know, you go into a bar, you go into a liquor store, and you choose a whiskey that you think, I want to try that. Is it in my price range? Can I buy it? Can I take it home? Can I pour a dram and not think about the price, just to enjoy the whiskey? So yes, it's all about being accessible, and we appreciate the retailers and the distributors. They don't price us out of the market, because we're only producing
Yeah.
maybe about 120,000 litres a year as well. So like the likes of, say, Diageo, they could do that in a day with all their distilleries. But that's our entire sort of yearly production. But just because it's a small amount, it doesn't mean that there's a premium on price. We have to be accessible. And that's the way to build the business. You know, it's bring people to the brand, give them a product that they want, and then look at other ways of trying to energize and excite the consumer, excite the fan as well. Hence the small batch releases that we've done with some port finishes this year, and we've done some Madeira finishes this year. The first ever time that we've actually finished a whiskey, and they're going down like a storm. They really are. And hopefully you'll get an opportunity to taste some of them in the States.
Well, I'll have to figure out how to get a hold of some of that. I'll have to talk to Pack Edge. Be like, all right, look, I talked to Mark, and he said I'm required to try this. So where can I get it?
Well, I was just before I came on, I had a quick email sort of back and forward with the vice president, Scott. So when I speak to him again in a couple of days, I'll be telling them, finger out, get some core expressions. I know you've got them, but get the specials out to the USA, because there's a clamor for it. There's a want, there's a need as well. And as soon as he hears the great work that's getting done by yourselves and the people out there that are promoting Wolfburn, you know, I did a tasting that you were at for the Los Angeles Bourbon and Whiskey Society as well. And the feedback that we got from that it blew me away. It really was. And there's people contacting me every other day from the society saying, oh, I've got this bottle, or I'm getting this bottle, or I've tasted that. And it's brilliant. You know, it's like that. You know, you're throwing the Wolfburn stone in the pond, and you're just watching the ripples go out. And as they go to the further extremities, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as a brand, that's what we want. But it's about taking small steps.
And you can't buy that kind of exposure, you know?
You're right. What's better?
You can buy ads all you want, but to get real, true interaction and exposure like that, it's these kind of, you know, chats and, you know, in-person tastings when we can safely do them again.
Yeah.
That build brands.
I miss pressing the flesh. I miss getting out there. I'm a gregarious type of guy. I'm a people person. You know, I'm a communicator. You know, I spent 30 years as a police officer. I can communicate to people in all shapes and sizes and all situations, and I love it because I love the interaction. I love going to different places, learning about different cultures, about their whiskey habits, about their needs, their wants, sometimes their expectations as well. And it's about coming to some sort of level playing field with a lot of people. But it's about getting the liquid to the lip. It's about actually getting it out there and letting people try it. Because until they do, they won't know if they like it or not. Because whiskey's a personal, you know, nobody lives inside your head. Heaven forbid.
You said it perfectly. It's about getting liquid to lips.
Use that. That is it. That is the deal. That is the, you know, that's the must do. And this is why sort of supporting your local retailer is great, because sometimes they've got bottles that are open that when you walk in the store, you can ask what they have. So you can get an opportunity to taste. You don't get that on the internet.
Some retailers have that license where they can taste you on product.
Exactly.
You know, it's very, very uncommon here in California. But there are some retailers who do have a wet demo license that can pour you, you know, a small, you know, just not even
taste,
like a taster.
Yeah, and that's very important as well to help promote the brand. But the best thing is when people know about Wolfburn, they know the story, they know how independent we are, they know how small and handcrafted our product is. They make a connection because they're interested in the story. They know that it's a small team of people producing the juice, and they can have a certain affinity with our product because it's phenomenal. I'm totally biased, okay? Born and bred in Thurso. I'm working for the Thurso Whisky Distillery, the Wolfburn Distillery. It's a dream job for me. It really is. It's not like a job for me. This is like it's like a walk in the park. I'm meeting people. I'm talking about Scotland. I'm talking about the North. I'm getting the liquid to the lip. I'm talking about Wolfburn. We're building a brand. We're bringing people to the fold. You know, this Wolfpack mentality that we have, and it's amazing to watch people, the smile on their faces when they taste the spirit. But we've got another dram in front of you there as well, the Morven.
I was sipping on it.
This was our third core expression that was released in 2017, and this is something just that wee bit different, Sam. The first one was our non-peated spirit. So for 10 months of the year, we run the stills non-peated. The barley that we get in hasn't been sort of kiln dried over peat smoke, but the Morven is, because this is 10 ppm. The Morven, 50% has been matured in the same second fill ex-quarter casks and 50% in first fill bourbon casks. So the Morven is a lot more smokier, and there's a wee bit more depth and a wee bit more resonance because of that affiliation with the ex-Isla casks and the fact that the malted barley has been peated as well. So that just gives it another layer and another depth as well. I've poured myself the Morven as we speak, and you do get.
The Crusaders are jealous of your job.
I've had many people asking me when are you going to be taking on more people? Can I carry your bags? Can I just follow you about? Because it is a dream job. See, when you're passionate about something and you love people and you love whiskey, there's a match.
Two of those three.
Well, you know, it's easy to do it when you enjoy it. There isn't a.
I love what I do. You know, this is my job, Mark. Talking to you, sitting here tasting whiskey, creating content. This is my job. I get paid to do this.
It's a great job. Like people can contact me via WhatsApp or Messenger or via Facebook or Instagram or email, and 9 times out of 10, if I can reply to them there and then, no matter what I'm doing or no matter where I am in the world, I'll reply to them. And that personality, that sort of that laid back approach, that it's not so you have to go through them and then they have to forward the email to them and then they have to screen it and think, right, shall we answer them or not? Just come to me. I'll tell you how it is. We don't want to hide anything. We want to be open and transparent at the distillery. We want to be able for people to see what we do and how passionate we are. You know, there's some great YouTube sort of mediums you can use. You can go for a virtual tour of Wolfburn. If you type in virtual tour at Wolfburn on YouTube, you can look at the drone footage. You can look at the whole area. And there's been various reviews done of our products as well from various people across the world, it's absolutely brilliant to see. Super stoked to see anybody putting a review out at Wolfburn, and I'm usually the first to comment or like or to contact as well, because it's, you know, they become our ambassadors, they become our conduits as well, because they're banging the drum for us. So let's reach out to them and thank them at least. It's the least we can do, you know.
Agreed. You know, as you keep saying, it's the Wolfpack. It's Wolfburn's Wolfpack. You know, it's the fans. It's the people who love the whiskey, the consumer, the on-trade, the off-trade even, you know, especially the off-trade. If the on-trade and off-trade don't work well together, then no one wins. Because people are going to go from the bar to the liquor store to buy a bottle of the Morven or the Northland.
That's what you want. And you want, like, you've got the bottles there. We want our brand to have presence. We want it to command a spot on a back bar, or we want it to command a place in a liquor store that people can look and be drawn to it as well. Because there's no point producing the best spirit you can without giving it the best vehicle to market. You know, and that's with the packaging, it's with the bottle inside. You know, even the carton on the front, I know you don't have cartons there, but you run your fingers down the side of the sea wolf on the actual carton, and it's like scales, because it's a mythical beast that liveth on land and sea. And this is the attention to detail that Paul, our brand manager, has come up with, because it's important that you keep your standards very, very high, and you always try and better what you're doing, whether it's in the production, whether it's in the taste, whether it's in the brand or the exposure. You want to be at the top of your game, and that's why we have supreme control over most of everything that we do. Traditional dunnage warehouses, hand bottling everything on site, and making sure that we don't delegate that procedure to anybody else, because as soon as you give away part of your business for somebody else to do, there's a worry that they're not going to do it as good as you, and they're going to maybe muck it up, or they're going to do something wrong with it. That's why we keep everything in-house. So it means that we keep the standards really high. So yeah, here's to the Morven. I'm just going to have a wee slug of this, if you don't mind. This is our sort of 2017 third core expression. Lovely, lovely sort of salinity again. A wee bit more smokier on the nose because of that Islay maturation and the fact that
I get a lot of caramel, actually. Really on the back of the palate, it's sweet, like, caramel, like, it's got a peppermint flavor too, but it's like, if you mix peppermint and butterscotch with a little bit of caramel.
Yeah, well, again, I suppose that lovely sort of vanilla caramel exposure from the bourbon casks that you're going to expect. The Morven, for me, it's it's very opaque, very light, and we all know that colour means nothing. We don't put any colour in our whiskey. Everything's natural colour. We don't chill filter it. Everything's done the way it should be done with a traditional whiskey.
I have a question for you.
Play about with it. But the Morven is a very good dram for people that maybe don't like anything overly peated. They don't like a recycled hospital or chewing a cigar. They don't like it too iodine, too medicinal. The Morven, I describe it, I'm maybe showing my age now a wee bit, but it's like Stephen King's The Fog. If you've ever seen that old world movie, when the figures come out of the fog, this is what the smokiness and the peatiness I get from the Morven. It's that veil of smoke, and then the flavour can just penetrate that veil. It's not like a bomb or a wall that the flavour can't get over or under or through. It's a lovely balance of that sweetness and that smoke as well. And it's a lovely
introduction. It's like a thin film. Yeah. But I have a question that, this is a question I've asked. I've asked Rachel Barry. I've asked Alan Winchester. I've asked countless people in Scotch whiskey, and no one has given me a satisfactory answer yet.
Okay, fire on.
What is the maximum amount of E150A legally allowed to be added to Scotch whiskey?
It's like any sort of not so much flavoring. Just like everybody says that it doesn't flavor. It just color.
It totally does. If you just, if you add a lot of flavors, look at there's a particular rum that many people know that is overly used of E150A.
I think the answer to that question is they can use as much as they want, but it's not written down anywhere.
It's not. And, that's basically what I get from everybody else. There's no official rule. There's no, just can't change the flavor. I'm like,
which is unusual.
Milliliter or whatever.
The Scotch whiskey industry has so many rules and regulations about so many other things as well. You would think that, bang, they would maybe have something that would relate to that. But see, at the end of the day, because we don't do it, and we don't, I don't have an opinion on anybody else doing it, because I wouldn't diss anybody else. But seeing as that we don't do it, I don't want to talk about it, because our products, everything in there is
right. You're not buying color, but it's still an important thing to talk about in terms of Scotch whiskey, because there are brands that do add color.
But it's like,
and then don't disclose that.
it's humans. We're quite fickle creatures. If we think something's dark on a shelf and something's light, we always think that dark bottle is full of flavour, more flavour than the light. But again, it's a trick of the mind. It's a marketing gimmick, possibly. It's maybe to keep the uniformity of the colour of everything on a shelf to be exactly the same. Because if you were a drinker of a certain spirit and you went along 15 bottles and one of the bottles was a shade lighter than everyone else, you would probably leave that because you would think that there was something wrong with it. Whereas when you put Wolfburn bottles along, like
Scotty, who's chiming in here today, said that E150 is really used as a colorant, but I would agree that it would also add a bit of flavoring. Wolfburn does not do it.
No. But it's like you can have the same conversation about chill filtering whiskey. Does it have an adverse effect on flavour? It might not, but does it have an adverse effect on mouthfeel? It might do, because you're trying to maybe take some of those sort of big fatty acids out, and that lovely, like, not only for me, for a whiskey, on the nose or on the palate, I like to feel a whiskey in my mouth. I like to chew a whiskey. I like to get it right round. I love a whiskey that sits on the tongue and makes my tongue salivate. There's a nice fatty oiliness to it. I like that. So why play about with whiskey? Why take things out and put things in? Because it never used to be like that in the past. And this is what we're trying to do at Wolfburn. Make it the traditional way without any automation, all handcrafted. And we're super proud of what we're doing. So, why change?
As you should be. The Scotch is delicious.
Yeah,
there's a reason I invited you to join me today for a chat. I like Wolfburn. The liquid in the bottle is good. The liquid going into the glass is even better.
And see, when
bottle great, into my glass even better.
People will say, "Well, I've got so many collections of whiskey and that," which is great. People that collect whiskey. Whiskey bottles have got a hole in the top for a reason. That cork has to come out and that spirit has to go in your glass.
I don't have a collection. I've got a library.
Your reference. It's a reference. Yeah, this is what you want.
I drink. I buy and drink. There are a few bottles that I have that will never be opened. Yeah. And that's with good reason. One of them is, when Dave Pickerel passed away, they made a little blend of Dave's whiskeys. Sorry, I was up early today for me. They made a little blend.
Not you. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. You need your bed, son.
Well, what can I say? So when Dave passed away, they made a small blend of his whiskeys, and I was fortunate enough to be gifted one of those little mini bottles. And David wanted me to drink it, but I'm sorry, I just cannot bring myself to drink that one. The other is a boot flask, as they call it. It's a 375, or the 3. It's like a mini, kind of like a half bottle of Garrison Brothers small batch, which is a Texas bourbon. And it's just regular standard release, but it's special to me because I dipped it myself. I stamped my ring into the top, so the wax has my ring on it.
Yeah.
And on the back it says, "To Sam, enjoy whiskey sommelier," and it's signed by Donis Todd, the master distiller.
That's a great emotional attachment that people have with their reference or their library or their collection as well. But I'll tell you this: the only person that can decide if you want to drink it is the people that have it, and it's a personal choice. You can't diss people for wanting to keep it. You can't, there's some bottles that I've got. Luckily enough, obviously working for the distillery, I've got an opportunity to taste virtually everything that I can or everything that I want.
Yeah.
I was we put 200 bottles out of our inaugural release before our Northland, and it came out in 2016. Came in a beautiful oak cask. In fact, I've got one at the back. And you're right. These are the sort of things that you think, keep, don't open. But I was at a whiskey show in Holland, and our Dutch distributor, Maurice, he had one, and he said, "See, for the show, let's open this cask, let's open this bottle, and let the fans enjoy it, because that's what you make the spirit for." And I was like,
"It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be drank."
Exactly.
I know people who collect and then don't drink, and when I buy a bottle, sometimes I'll save it for a special occasion to open it. But once it's open, have at it. I told my friends in the before times, hey, look, if it's open, you can have it. Just don't finish it, and don't drink this one open bottle. Scotty Broclati, that's Scott Morrison. The real answer is no two casks are alike. So when you buy those big brands that strive for consistency in the color, Wolfburn and the others that I'm assuming they mean pack edge, bring in non-chill filtered, no color added. Yeah, and of course no two casks are alike. That's the beauty of single casks. And we all do love a good single cask. Yeah. That's not to say that the ones that strive for consistency are bad. Matt, straight up fucking whiskey. Yes, Matt, I agree. By no means bad.
We'll put a fire in your belly and a smile on your face. This is what we want. And I use the sort of analogy as well. Although we're called Wolfburn, everything that we do, there isn't a burn to it. There isn't that aggressive note that you would expect with a young spirit. It's not like a hot poker going down the throat. It doesn't have that sort of retch or that horrible sort of heat in the gullet. It's like, I describe it like just a tear, like a rolling tear just down the cheek, that lovely warm descent, that lovely fruity floral note that we strive for, that light vibrancy as well. It's mellow, it's rounded, and it's an easy drinking dram. It really is. And it's, whiskey, some whiskies can be described as dangerous because they are so easy drinking. Like the Morven.
I had a few of those recently. It's like, I'm sorry, this is what proof?
It's like,
Mark, did we lose you, or did you lose me, or did we lose you?
You're buffering, but I'm still on. Oh, you're back. Brilliant. But the Morven, the dark green bottle, you don't see how much you're drinking of that until you actually go to lift the bottle up and half of it's gone, and you think, where did that go? Because it's an easy drinking whiskey, because it's, it's like chasing the gram. You get that initial, that feeling if it's your first taste, and then what you want to do, you want to recreate that as well. So you go back and you get another half, and you're trying it again. And
well, Mark,
that's the job.
Cut you off here, unfortunately, because we are running out of time. Oh, you got about another minute left. I've got to end right on time today.
Okay.
So I just want to say thank you for sitting down with me and chatting Wolfburn. It was good to see your face again, and I cannot wait until I can get out to come visit you lot out in Thurso, and we'll drink some casks. I think I'll use some QC for you guys while I'm there. Quality control, drink a little bit of some casks.
Yeah, we'll pop the bung and we'll get the cocker dog in. We'll see what we can get out, and we'll treat you like a king. So from everyone, pleasure.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. I've got another 29 days of cocktail videos coming out. The first one just dropped this morning, and in the description box, by the way, you can pick up a copy of the book. Great little holiday gift. And don't forget to visit Wine and Liquor Depot's website from out here in Lake Balboa to pick up some Wolfburn, because, guys, shop small, shop local, support independent businesses. This holiday season, more than ever, they really are struggling to use the support. So cheers, Mark. I'll see you soon. Slán
All the best to you. Be safe.
Good night, everybody.